Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 3 elimination match from the Esports World Cup. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg between two teammates. Two South Koreans face off against each other. First off, in game number 1, in the top left-hand corner of a map called Site Delta, we have none other than Maru, by many considered to be the greatest player of all time. And you know what? Those people, they're wrong. I'm choosing violence today. His opponent, down in the bottom right, playing with the red Zerg pieces. He goes by the name of Solar. It's Cyril. Guys, come on, it's Cyril. Although maybe if Clem keeps playing like this for a couple more years. Yeah. Clem certainly seems to have he's reached a new all-time high. That is for absolute certain. Maru though, one of the all-time greats, and obviously what makes Maru very special is that he's been playing this game for an incredibly long time. I've mentioned this many times, but he played in the very first GSL Code S back in 2010, and I think he was like 12 years old or something like that at the time. He was just a kid, already very promising. Obviously, it took him quite a few years to actually get to, well, the level that he's playing at these days. But he's been considered to be the very best player from Korea for many years now, and I think it's all, yeah, very fair. Very dominant. Nobody has won as many tournaments in Korea as Maru. And because of that, I am favoring him in this particular series. Now, he's going up against Solar. I feel like Solar is one of those players who's a little bit underrated. There's a bunch of pro gamers out there, like, for example, Cure is one of them too. I actually think Shin may also be a bit underrated. Solar is always very good. He doesn't really win a lot of tournaments, so I guess that's probably the reason why, but he's consistently like top 8, top 4. He's always been ranked amongst the very best players in Korea, and I do believe he's somebody you certainly have to watch out for. Now, usually in this matchup, I feel like this might be a bit of a mismatch. So, Maru is very good at late game play, right? We've seen him play a lot of turtle styles. And what makes Solar scary in Terran vs Zerg is that he's very good at absorbing every single attack and then ultimately winning when, for example, lurkers come out. Solar will be more than happy to sit back for like the first 10 minutes of the game and just relax and slowly tech up and get or not slowly tech up, quickly tech up and get everything going that he needs, right? But Maru is extremely dominant in the late game. And I haven't really seen Solar really go for any timing attacks as of late. So if he decides to go for a timing attack, life will be good. We have a Reaper, by the way, trying to hunt down that drone. This is a drone that wants to become a third base. Solar wanted to hide it over here. Is he gonna find it? No way. It's hiding in the grass. That's so far away. He knows it's out there somewhere. He's gonna find it. No way, dude. That's actually insane. I have never really seen a Zerg run a drone that far away to hide it from the Reapers, and Maru still found it. This man, he can smell drones. Yeah. They smell like cheese. Yeah, it's very earthy, very moldy scent. It's disgusting. Anyway, Solar instead is going to try and use the queens right now. Sneak a drone towards the right side of the map, but you know what? See, you could also do it like that. Much easier. Alrighty, in the meantime, over on the side of the Terran, we've got ourselves a third command center about halfway done. There's a starport coming up, so just a good old 2-1-1 opener here for Maru with a mass command center, of course, triple command center all on the back of it. So any damage done in the early game is nice. It's not a lot of damage, but it's a little bit of damage. And this is sort of what I expected, right? So this is not Solar preparing for like a Roach Ravager attack or a quick lair or any of that mass muta style that we've seen Raynor play. This is him just playing stock standard StarCraft. So if you're a Zerg player out there actually and you're looking to play normal StarCraft, right? If you're trying to figure out what is the default way to play, this is it, okay? Solar, generally speaking, is somebody you can look out for. He's playing very stock standard StarCraft in basically every single one of his matches. Rarely do we see him go for any sort of cheese. This is Solar actually kind of, mixing it up a bit, I guess, in his mind. Normally, you go for a lair first into a Baneling Nest, and then into double upgrades. Solar is going to switch the two around. He's going to go into the double upgrades, and then probably Baneling speed with a lair on the back of it. I think it's overall a smart play against Maru. Maru, like I said, likes playing the more macro-focused style. So if that's the case, right, why would he be going into a timing attack? I don't really think Maru is going to enjoy doing a timing attack here. It's a map that is pretty big. He can quite easily expand all over the map, and he should have an easy time here making expansions if he wants to. So I think Solar will probably not really be in any issues. The main problem with going for these upgrades first over Banelink speed first is that you can run into some issues with the Banelink speed, where it needs to be done when the first big attacks from the Terran go across the map. There are technically some timings here from Terran that could really catch the Zerg. He doesn't know about the third, right? He hasn't seen the third command center, but he's making the assumption that it's there. And I think it's, in basically any Terran versus Zerg, a safe assumption to make, but especially against Maru. Okay. There's the Banelinks coming up. And there is the Stimpak upgrade finishing up as well. +1 starts up. We should see the +1 as well for the infantry attacks. It's important not to forget those. Everybody is copying Bjorn, man. What is up with this? Every single Terran player. So we were making fun, right? As commentators. The StarCraft casters. Absolute bullies. Worst people in the world. Never seen anybody worse than the StarCraft. Anyways, a lot of folks were making fun. Never would I have ever done that, of course, personally. A lot of people were making fun of the upgrades that Bjorn takes, because Bjorn pretty much always takes armor first over attacks. Now, every single situation, right, where you play Marines, the attack upgrade is better than the armor upgrade. So the armor upgrade is still good, don't get me wrong. But for some reason, we pretty much always see Bjorn getting the armor upgrade first. And now I've noticed it as well. In Maru's games, we've seen it from Clem. They're all prioritizing the quote-unquote wrong upgrade. I guess in theory, you just get both anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But why do we always see armor upgrades first? I don't know. Anyways, there's the, well, armory already coming up. That'll be plenty early to make sure that Maru can continue his upgrades as well. Straight into the 2-2. We should see 2-2 here as well for the Zerg immediately. Solar completely on point. He's gone for a 4th hatchery here. Vertically. And he's also going to be taking another expansion over here. This is more or less a secondary 4th. If one of the 4th bases dies, he still has a backup plan. It's more or less a macro hatchery for now. Armory is going to finish up at the perfect time here for 2-2 to begin as well at a reasonable time. Okay. Yeah, so both players here are mostly just trying to be a little bit annoying to one another. Looks like Solar is thinking about a timing attack here, or at least a bit of a counter. Got a lot of lings here at the bottom of the map, and he is leading the way. I love the positioning right there on these Hellions. These are still from the early game. Maru sees this attack coming in from a mile away, and he actually defends that without really any issues. Although I think the Lings and the Banes can still commit if they want to. They're gonna try. In the meantime, the Marines are trying their very best on the other side of the map. Looks like the Lings and the Banes, though, do simply have a numbers advantage, and that means that the SCVs are gonna have to go on the run, cancel on the 4th base. Speaking of 4th bases, though, Maru just killed the opponent. Although, like I was saying, there is a backup 4th. It looks like Solar is gonna be taking a backup 4th as well, over at the bottom of the map. This is more like a 5th, though. This is more like a 5th base, even though it's technically the 6th. I feel like my reasoning makes sense. Anyways, infestation pit coming up. Do we have a Hydralisk then yet? Not yet. This is looking an awful lot like a straight up 3-3 timing attack here from the Zerg player. Straight adrenal glands. Okay, no cancel on that command center this time around. Lings and Banes are starting to slip through the cracks. Decides to leave for now, though I feel like he could have committed to that mineral line a little bit more with especially the Banelinks. I think he got a bit of a fright at the bottom of the map here. Siege tanks are within range of the hatchery here that's building. We'll probably see this base again starting up in just a moment. Solar's gonna try and commit and see if he can clean all of this up. Siege tanks are going to fall. And with the siege tank gone, apparently the Lings and the Banes decide to indeed disengage as a new expansion is starting up over on the right side. Matter of fact, drop goes straight into the main base. Maru putting his foot on the gas, playing some very fast StarCraft, but you can see here that APM-wise at the very least, Solar is easily matching him. Matter of fact, drops as well in the top right-hand corner. Okay, this is a proper game, though. You can tell that both of these guys are incredibly well in form here. Not making any sloppy mistakes. The biggest one so far from Maru, I guess, was not canceling that command center. And this may be the biggest mistake so far from Solar in this game. Not having his army in the right position to actually shut this down. Oh! He dropped one Marine out of the medevac to kill the drone because the drone was still left with 1 HP. Cute little bit of target firing right there by Maru. Plenty of energy available though for those queens. But we do have some Vipers coming up. +3 armor is indeed going to be the first upgrade apparently. Hydra then. Vipers and then Adrenal Glands as well. So I think this is ultimately him transitioning towards a delayed lurker push. Although it's not like the conventional version of it. Yeah, he's going into the missile upgrades together with the armor. So he is ultimately going to arrive at lurkers. It's gonna take a while though. I think for now Solar is exactly doing what Solar does best. He is just defending. Some Lingbane counterattack, sure. Oh, there's a Zerg and Grinder over here, though. These Marines are getting a ton of value. Nicely done right here by Maru. Forced to retarget with his own medevacs. Or Widow Mines, rather. Medevacs are being targeted here by the parabombs. I've got a feeling not a lot of these Marines are going to go home. They are distracting a lot of units, though. As now there's once more another attack up north. Keep in mind that these aren't really that committed here from Maru. Maru is really just trying to play a macro game. But sometimes you can accidentally harass your opponent to death, right? We do see a lot of games like that, where you didn't really intend on winning yet, but this is looking like one of those games where Maru may, quote-unquote, accidentally obtain the victory. Because he is doing a phenomenal job here with all of this harassment. Finally, Solar is getting some of these Widow Mines to deal some friendly fire. Adrenal Glands right now for the Zerglings is done. Ghost Academy is just about to finish. Command Center has finished up as well with the Planetary. Ooh, and rather than going for the base... Now this I like here from Maru. Rather than going for the safe, tucked away expansion here on the left side of the map, Maru is going to fight fire with fire. He's going to build a Planetary right over here, right on the edge of the Zerg. Let's have a look. I think he's going to try and push around this side of the map continuously until he kills the base. It's going to be nearly impossible for Solar to really spread the creep. It does mean, though, that an attack towards, for example, the natural or even the third base is an option here for the Zerg player. If Maru can secure the kill on this expansion, he will probably feel pretty good about himself, because this base is usually very difficult to mine the longer that the game goes on. Once Zerg gets up to like Lurker Tech and Brute Lord Tech and all the rest of it, these expansions over here are very difficult to mine from, but so far, yeah, he's once more denying the base over here, and I think he still has his eyes set on this expansion right over here as well. Widowmine drop attempt. Probably was looking for the Widowmine hits over here in the mineral line, but I mean, that's still not bad. Gets a good bit of value. And in the meantime, the ghosts are coming up 4 at a time. The norm for Terran at this point is to have 4 barracks with tech labs, 4 of them with reactors. All the leftover units do get planted down, and apparently all things come in force right now. Command centers are also building in very large groups, 4 of them, on the production tab. Lurker Den coming up, 14 minutes into the game. Okay. I would love to see more creep spread over here on this section of the map. I think this entire area needs to be gooped up. Same for the creep tumors over here. There needs to be a little bit more creep around this section of the map, because the longer that this goes on, the better it's going to be for Maru, I believe. He's got that map control, and it's quite difficult for Zerg to really find an angle of attack. Does he even realize that this... Yeah, he has seen it. Okay. I was wondering if you have even really noticed, although there's a sensor tower here. So you can see that circle on the mini-map. If Solar, though, can jump on top of one of these Terran armies and shut them down, like, for example, this one has got a lot of potential, suddenly counterattacking becomes a real opportunity. Are we gonna throw some parabombs? We do need a couple. Maybe some abductions? Okay. This is one of those attacks that's a little risky, although it's not very fast. I was thinking that maybe Zerg could just collapse right on top of all of it. Looks like that is not quite the case, as Maru is going to continue annoying Solar here. These units are ultimately going to go down, but it's taking the Zerg player forever to really get the job done. And you know what? The hatchery is once more bleeding out. Got ourselves a fusion core. The advanced ballistics upgrade is researching. That's the Liberator ranged. And now that the lurkers are coming out, their ranged upgrade is researching. We see the burrow upgrade already queued up as well. Now that the Nidus worm is here, apparently the lurkers are gonna have to go across the map. So we've got ourselves a nice little macro game building here. I like that Maru actually got himself a almost like a piggy bank expansion over here. Yeah, this base was easy to grab quite a few minutes ago. But Maru decided to go for the much harder to acquire base here first. Now, there is one lurker here in the tree line, trying to be annoying. Yeah, this base is usually one that Terrans will struggle to acquire, especially if it's their last base. Usually that one is saved until much later, but I quite like it. How many Niduses do we have? Just the one. No double Nidus shenanigans. Again, very conventional StarCraft. Nidus is going to go up in the natural expansion. There's nothing inside the worm, however. Mostly just a distraction. Hydraling Bane hitting the front. Lovely attack right here from Solar, actually. Very conservative. Goes back home. Not taking any real chances. Kills 13 SCVs, though. And he does call a little bit of that Terran army. These are all relatively low-tier Zerg units, obviously. But then again, this is also one of those points in the game, though, where Terran doesn't really care so much about losing SCVs. We're right around that stage in the match where Terran will start donating SCVs as well. Not quite. But there is a point where you want to start giving up on this amount of workers, so I don't think we're going to see them replaced. Yeah, instead, we're seeing 6 Liberators there at a time on the production tab. It is time for Maru to do what Maru does best. He needs to defend. Now, sometimes the best defense, I guess, is the offense. But he's got siege tanks, he's got Liberators with ranged. Building armor right now is also done. I think Solar has already been deflected. Yeah, there's really nothing he can do here. We'll have to see if he decides to go and do any flying Zerg units of his own. Because a lot of games of TVZ would have ended by now. A lot of games have been casting as of late. They end right around this phase in the game. But this doesn't really look like it's going to end anytime soon. 15 ghosts, though. I feel like we haven't seen that many ghosts, but it turns out there have been more made than I realized. They're all over here on the left side of the map. Lurker tries to get within range of the planetary and does get there eventually. But at this stage, of course, Terran does have a lot of little to get rid of all those lurkers really easily. Liberator count is growing. Only a single siege tank derping around in the natural expansion. It's mostly just, yeah, Liberators right now to take over the role as a siege damage dealer. He doesn't have any upgrades on those bad boys yet. Lurkers try to run away. They do run away. Ultimately, this fight here at the front, maybe this could be a little better for Solar, but no. Great splits right here from Maru. Yeah, Maru is so good at just deciding how many units he needs in every given circumstance. So it's really easy to commit too much of your units on one section of the map. Especially against a much more mobile Zerg. It can be easy to accidentally be caught off guard against those sorts of aggression. But Maru is yeah, apparently feeling like he can actually be the attacker here. There's one infestor. It does have energy for a fungal growth. Mirrored expansion from the other side of the map. Likewise also difficult to acquire for the Zerg. Lurkers trying to get some worker damage done, but not a ton of it just yet. We're gonna need to see some scans here in order to actually clean up that job. Hatchery, though, gets killed here by the bio units. And upon doing that, Maru decides to go back home. Solar's trying to see if he can maybe catch some of those reinforcing units, some of those retreating units off guard. And he does successfully pull it off. There's a very nice fungal growth. There's a very nice attack as well on all of those liberators. Solar takes a really good attack. I think that was about the best push he could have done here. You can now see in the army size graph here that Terran did lose quite a bit of their stuff. Now, will we see a Raven added in the late game? Place your bets. The one problem a lot of Terrans run into is that they get their army fungled by an infestor they didn't see. Terrans have mobile detection in the form of a Raven. Will we see a Raven? No, we won't. No, we're not. What we're gonna do instead is have a gajillion scans and just pre-split the Terran army instead. In theory, you never need a Raven. In theory, it's not something you really need. But lately, it seems like the only way the top-level Terrans are losing the late game is if they get caught off guard by infestors. And we've already had one fungal that really did cost Maru like 50 army supply. That infestor is still sharking around the map. No, they never get ravens. It was a trick question. There's never any ravens. Maybe if the game gets to a point where they're extremely broke and somehow Maru can't afford to scan. But we're currently at 8 orbitals. We'll probably see a couple more, actually. We'll probably see more orbitals. Or more orbitals. Anyways. Wouldn't be surprised. See him go up to maybe 2 to 4 more. SCV count, by the way, slowly being reduced, and that will suit Maru just fine. The one thing to note, though, is that he doesn't have a lot of cash at this point. So he's using most of his orbital commands for scans. As you can see, this one even has 200 energy. He can't really afford losing a lot more. He's gonna need a few minutes of solid mining, as we do have another attempted attack here by Solar. Constantly threatening it, but never really getting it done. Solar, in the meantime, though, has retaken that base, and he's also grabbed the expansion in the far bottom left. Yes, the Zerg army is cost inefficient, but if he can take a full base, right, from the Terran, so those snipes are amazing by Maru. But if he can mine both the top right as well as the far bottom left, this game is very good for Solar. And so far, I don't mind it. I would like to see him maybe have Broodlord tech available. He's instead, focusing a lot of his efforts. Nice Widowmine detonation there. He's focusing a lot of his efforts on trying to harass, and he doesn't have that much cash. But it is quite a common transition for Zergs to make in the late game. We're not quite at a position yet, though, where that's really useful. Drones try to get out of there, but the worm gets targeted. We'll probably see them evacuated towards the bottom left in just a moment. The Bio Army has come back home. At least some of it. And they're going to be used to try and get all of this done too. Widowmines here really slowing down the advancement of the Zerg. Great positioning here by Maru. He's got 0 siege tanks remaining, but he's using the few Widowmines that he does have to his advantage. Maybe Zerg has the much more, mobile army, the much more agile one, but it's difficult here for Solar to really maneuver it around the map without stepping into a literal minefield. There's additional command centers. A little bit ago, Maru had significantly less money in the bank than Solar. But it's starting to look like this is an advantage for him indeed. Gonna get rid of one of those expansions from the Zerg once again. I wouldn't be surprised to see Maru make an attempt at that base in the top right. He's in no hurry though. He's probably gonna maybe even take this base here too. Taking both at the same time can be tough. So as long as he's making sure that Zerg is not taking the resources from one, he can just slowly take him one base at a time. Maru just looks so difficult to break, man. Ay. He's got a very tough shell. Solar is trying to create opportunities. And he is getting some good trades every now and then. Looks like one of the infestors may have gotten a neural on the ghosts. Oh. You burrowed everything. Forcing some scans at the very least. But these, look at that split as well. These moves here from Maru are making it look extremely difficult for Solar to find an opportunity to run in. Solar's playing really good though. He's playing fast, he's on top of every engagement. He's microing against the Widow Mines, and in general he's doing a great job. Making it difficult for the Terran player here, but... the cost efficiency here. Yeah. Oh my god, I haven't even opened this tab yet. Look at that. So resources lost for both sides. This is telling us the story of the game. Maru may have not been trading nearly as... yeah, he may have not been mining, rather, nearly as much as the Zerg, but... Solar's trades have been so incredibly cost inefficient. But what do you make right now as the Zerg? That's the question. What army composition do you go for? Apparently Maru's next base is going to be the one right over here in the top right. A fungal growth here on these ghosts would be amazing. He does get a nice one. Is there enough of a follow-up here for the Zerg to finish this job? There's a... oh, that is exactly what Solar was looking for. He gets all the ghosts. That was like, what, 15... probably more, like 20 ghosts going down. That was the golden opportunity. Significant blunder right there from Maru. But it looks like there's not enough Zerg to really continue this aggression. Solar realizes that this is the opportunity that he's been looking for the entire game long. But I wonder if it came a little too late, because he currently doesn't have the follow-up. His money has completely dried up. He's currently, well, at basically no income and no... yeah, he's only at 130 supply. He has no army anymore either, whereas Maru is now forced to, yeah, go into his piggy bank a little bit. Maybe get rid of some of the units that he's got and replace them with other ones, but... sadly for Solar there was no real opportunity for him to continue the swarm. 23 ghosts have gone down in this game, and I think the vast majority of them we just saw falling. Maru should have been pre-split there. He should have never taken that much damage from those fungals in the first place. Again, a Raven would have been nice. I'm gonna keep bringing up Ravens until ultimately the Terran meta will shift to Terrans making Ravens in the late game. It will happen one day. One day I'll be a clever commentator. I can be a smug man. But today is not that day. We're now at the point of this match where my interface is starting to bug out. Where you can see that the creator of this interface never took into consideration that sometimes there would be games with more than 4 digits worth of units going down. I will be a Raven salesman for many years to come at this rate. I have been a Raven salesman for several years already. Ultimately, though, Maru is much too dominant in this game. He wins another engagement, and that was the final one. The final army that Solar could afford. It's Maru who wins the first game in this series. Next up, we find ourselves on Oceanborn. It's a double barracks opener here from Maru into a command center on the low ground. I have fast forwarded through the first 2 minutes of the game because very predictably, everything is very normal. Are we gonna hide a drone again over at the third base, Solar? Nope, not this time around. Yeah, so where did it go wrong for Solar in the previous game? Honestly, really hard to look for opportunities that he could have taken. He did a good job macroing all over the map and trying to gobble up the map's resources. Maru just never really took any critical amounts of damage. So the 2 moments where Maru did take damage were when he got fungled, right? So he got fungled twice, and that's the... yeah, those were the moments where Maru kind of had a bit of like a post-mid-game situation going on that he probably didn't plan for, but he's hunting for a drone, by the way. He's really looking for the drone, just like he did in the previous game. But yeah, overall, I really liked what Maru was doing. I'm hard-pressed to really find any opportunities that Solar could have taken. Obviously, Solar decided to play the game like that. So he decided to do the late lurkers. It's quite common that we see Terrans take a lot of damage from lurkers earlier on into the game. So Maru in that previous game wasn't rushing any ghosts or anything like that. So he didn't quite have something to deal with early game lurkers. Or early game lurkers. I'm talking like a 7-minute hive into straight lurker play type of start. So Solar in the previous game didn't go lurkers until several minutes after that. Maybe that would have been a possible opportunity for him. But if he decided to go for that, then he probably would have been in more trouble against the bio attacks that were earlier on into that game, because he would have had to spend more money on tech earlier on. So it's yeah, it's a delicate balance. It'll be a roach build this time around here for Solar. Third command center already finishing up here for Maru. He goes, this is a super greedy build. Look at what he's currently got, okay? He's got 3 Reapers, 2 Marines, a Hellion. That's it. Triple command center, double upgrades. If Solar does any aggression whatsoever, Maru would be straight up dead. Like, if you're a Diamond League Zerg and you know how to execute a Roach Ravager all-in, you could beat Maru. Now, the thing is, Maru does this specifically because he knows what Solar likes to do. Solar likes sitting back. Solar likes absorbing every attack. Solar likes to sit here and just defend whatever the Terran's got coming. And now it's Maru who's playing into that vibe. It'll be difficult for Solar to do anything about it now. I think Maru has already gotten away with murder here. Starport finally coming up. We have triple gas. Super greedy build here from the Terran. I kind of love it though. I think it's very clever. Roaches are going to go across the map because they're like, hey bro, you should be harassing me right now. Buddy, you're supposed to be driving around my mineral lines and maybe deny a creep tumor or two, maybe shoot some flames at the queen. But, yeah. You must realize that at this point something is a little bit off. Now, what can you do here as Zerg? Well, oftentimes the best counter to greed is greed. Capitalism 101. No, no political commentary here. Genuinely though, Solar can probably, I think this is his best bet actually. Just continue droning here. Try to get that 4th base saturated as quickly as possible. Try to fight the greed with more greed. Because at this point, there's really nothing here that he can do to try and shut down this Terran player. There is really not much he can do to try and counter this anymore. So we're gonna go indeed into a very quick infestation pit. This is like 5 minutes and 40-ish seconds on the infestation pit. Very quick 4th base as well. Hydra then on the back of this. I'm assuming we're gonna make a Hydra then anyways. Yeah, there we go. And we'll probably see a hive straight into a lurker then. It's a very Solar-esque approach here. Now, if he loses the 4th, that would be a problem. If Maru can shut this 4th base down before it finishes, that would be huge. Because in order to play lurkers, you need 8 gas. Where's the roaches? They're coming over right now, but I would love to see Maru just give up some Marines. There we go. And indeed get that kill secured. Losing that base, I mean, it takes the wind out of Solar's sails. He really needs 8 gas income in order to afford proper lurker play. This early game hive right now, it's a super fast one. I don't think we're gonna see more than like 3 lurkers, man. It's gonna be hard for the Zerg to really afford much else. So we're gonna go instead into the metabolic boost. Instead, we're gonna go into the Hydra upgrades. I don't think he really wanted to go for those initially, but he is realizing that this is not going to work off of just the amount of gas income that he's got right now. Brilliant counter right there from Maru. And that means that Maru can slowly but surely sail into the late game once again. We've got barracks 6, 7, and 8. We've got a 4th command center, I'm sure. Where's the 4th command center? We don't have one yet. Hold up right now. Ooh, Maru is thinking about... Really? We're going to be aggressive into this? That surprises me a bit. He could just play a nice, comfortable macro game, but instead he's thinking, yo, I'm going to plant my barracks at the front. And I'm going to try and fight fire with fire. Obviously, he's already been very greedy in this game. He's already got the eco boost that he was looking for. But ultimately, lurkers are still very powerful, even though they were meant to be used offensively here. Solar is still going to be use them. He's still going to be able to use them very nicely defensively too. Couple lurkers over here, couple lurkers over here. It'll be difficult to attack for the Terran player until he gets up to a little bit of a ghost cluster here. So I'm assuming we're going to see a 4th command center eventually, but this is certainly Maru now forced to deal some sort of damage. Most of the time, the 3 base 8 Rex, it is meant to win the game. Dealing some damage is not enough. And here's the lurkers getting in position. Now keep in mind, these are lurkers without their ranged upgrade yet. Yeah, this is enough though. Range just now finished. What are we gonna do, Maru? We're actually just relaxing here and we're actually just gonna try and fight this. So he'll be fighting a lurker army. Now the 4th command center starts up, but it's very late. He'll be fighting a lurker army with mostly just marines and marauders. Given enough time, Solar should be in a very nice position. He decides to go for 4 dropper lords. I quite like that. We've been seeing Cyril do that quite a bit. This Marine Marauder army though hits hard, and that base is gonna get shut down. But I like the decision here from Solar to give up on it, because he already knows he's a full base up on the opponent. He doesn't really need to be too aggressive. Base will restart, gets cancelled again immediately. But Solar now is maxed out on a lurker-based army, whereas Maru is starting to be maxed out on a bio-based army. And usually bio just does not, well, flow very nicely with lurkers. Although the lurkers are thinking about going across the map. We have some parasitic bombs now as well on the medevacs here, so Zerg is going to be able to shut this aggression down relatively easily. What is Solar going to be able to achieve with these medevac drops? Or, well, the Zerg medevacs anyways. Oh, he's leading it with the full Overlord. I wouldn't have minded seeing him play this a little bit more cautiously. It looks like he's gonna just drop them straight into the opponent's natural expansion, and this is not something Maru is prepared for at all. Siege tanks over here are gonna get shut down. Finally, the hatchery will restart. Looks like we can, oh, scan and split. Well, he had a concave of units. I like what Maru did there. So Maru making sure that he's got a full circle here of his Terran army by lifting off his own structures to create a lot more surface area. You know what? 17, 18 SCVs is good. But is it enough? Because that was like 6 lurkers going down. Lurkers do burrow here again at the front. Hydras are finishing the job that lurker started, but I think the reinforcing Terran units are going to be able to push this away. In the meantime, by the way, 3-3 is clicking, or is ticking rather. The clock is ticking here. He's going to be able to get that upgrade set done. And it's going to make this Terran army significantly more powerful. A fidget spinner lurker going straight through the middle of our screens. You love to see it. And those Terran upgrades are heavily, heavily in his favor. +2/+2. I mean, look at this for the Zerg. It is, well, the best one, I guess. About halfway done. As Terran is finishing 3-3. Still no ghosts. We have an academy. They just need to go to school, I guess. Oh, there's a couple of them. We have one. Yeah, just a single one. There's 2 lurkers here in the mix. This should be an army that can shut this down. In the meantime, we have a push over here from the Terran player falling flat on its face. Good split right there. But the planetary fortress indeed disappears. At least the SCVs managed to sneak away. I feel like Maru made this game really hard on himself. Deciding to go triple Rex or triple CC 8 Rex, it just makes this entire game a lot more difficult for him. Everything was looking really nice. I mean, it's still looking pretty darn good. He's making the best of this situation, but this does feel a little out of character. This is something that Oliveira loves to do. Suddenly there's chaos everywhere though. 3rd base from the Terran in a world of trouble. Marines and Marauders are still good enough here at countering that lurker group. In the meantime, the 4th base from the Zerg player also got shut down, but Solar, of course, has got another expansion here on that base he was trying to acquire quite a while ago. Main base is, yeah, it has been lifted off, and it's gonna be flying on over towards that 4th base location. No planetary anymore. Zergling run-bys are a very real opportunity. My god. Maru is countering lurkers with Marine Marauder Medevac. He can make ghosts. I mean, right now he's kind of broke, I suppose, but he could have been making ghosts here for quite a while, but he's saying, nope, don't need it. Gets another council on that base up north. Lovely drop. Yeah, it's difficult to push in this, though. I don't know, man. I don't think you can really engage this. Zergling run by here at the bottom of the map. These are links that don't have adrenal glands, but they're still going to be very powerful. Actually, I think we should have had adrenal glands by now, but he hasn't actually researched it yet. These Ling run-bys are still phenomenal, though. Lovely play here from Solar. He's moving in, trying to go for the base right here at the bottom. Oh, great splits again, though, by Maru. Getting a lot of value in. 22 SCVs have gone down, but Maru still has the army supply lead. Now the ghosts are coming up, 4 at a time. Here's the reinforcing units, the ones that were distracted by that Zerg run-by. And once more, he's going to try and surround this entire Zerg army. Lurkers are once more getting countered by Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. All of the Medevacs are pretty much out of energy, but it looks like Maru barely has enough to clean all of this up. Okay. Solar resecured that base at the top of the map. He does still have a couple lurkers over here. 3 of them are morphing in, but there's only currently 1 set up. Has he found an opportunity to still break this Zerg army? Looks like Maru decides to back off for just a moment. New lurkers get morphed in, but these are once more very exposed. Ghosts are going to be able to snipe those cocoons. That's the Hydras going down. Maru suddenly is finding an opportunity in a game that seemed to be going in the favor of the Zerg. Oh my god, Maru's so ridiculously good, man. Ay. Blinding Cloud right here on the Queens themselves. I mean, the Queens also, it's a spell that does affect friendlies. The Queens right there could also not achieve much. I guess it made it difficult for the Bio army to chase. He's fighting on creep, but he's getting the job done. Wow, it's Maru who wins 2-0 over Solar. Whew.